For this second episode, let me introduce you to the Butcher. Welcome to this short Necromunda series. I am Flo from Chronicles of Tiny Battles. Let me tell you what the series is about, and if you're sure you want to see the rest, give the video a like and subscribe. It's free, and if I ever happen to disappoint you, you can always unsubscribe. What is the series about? I am painting miniatures for a Necromunda Diorama that I started 2 years ago. It is going to be very different from anything you've seen before. I like to write my own stories, and by the fourth episode, everything will come together. I'm curious to know if you can guess the ending before then. Let me know in the comments. If you haven't seen the first episode, check it out here. I paint the Pup Master and I introduce the story of this Necromunda Diorama. A relatively peaceful area is under attack by vile Chaos Cultists. They have identified the area as a heaven for families. Hence, a great deal of pain could be inflicted. For this second episode, let me introduce you to the Butcher. Before anything, I drill his torso, for obscure reasons that will come to light in the fourth and last episode of this series. While I'm sketching in black and white, let's appreciate the design of this miniature. He's both static and aggressive, and that's exactly what I was looking for. You'd guess that such a hole in the torso has quite the stopping power, and that is what happened to him. He got stopped in motion before he could take one more step. Because he's a Chaos Cultist, you would think he's one of the baddies. I can't tell for sure. He was just chilling, looking for his next piece of meat to slice to cubes, after he had already savagely butchered a pretty high count of innocent bodies, men, women, and I would guess children too. As he crossed the walkway to the other side, he stopped dead in his tracks and swiveled his head slightly in the direction of the interference he had perceived. At the sound of a step in a puddle, he felt a different aura in the air, unusual compared to the frightened and desperate energy normally projected by his victims. Then, with a great flash, his breathing was cut off, his lungs and entrails disintegrated, liquefied by a charge of molten plasma. What happened exactly, he cannot tell for sure, but you will find out in the last episode of this series. His axe and knife are a good opportunity for non-metallic metal, steel and copper, to complement the warm leather. I want his skin to look pallid and unhealthy, to emphasize how chaos has consumed him. I then add touches of red to bring out a sanguine and nervous disposition, and dark green hues to represent the combat drugs flowing into his body from the vials on his back. The saturated light green gives an acidic, corrosive edge, which stands out all the more with its desaturated skin tone. You can see that off camera, I painted the edges of the hole in his belly in bright blue to show that it is still burning, as if molten. But why blue? You will find out in the last episode of this series. It took me a while to decide on the color of the goggles. I wanted something that would stand out without obscuring the vials of combat drugs. And after several tests, black seemed the best option. There is hardly any black on the miniature, so it stands out well, but at the same time, it's not bright enough to steal the show from the vials. The final touch is blood. Hot blood leaking from his trophies, hands freshly cut from his victims, and a head, from which the red, viscous liquid is still dripping. And also the blood on the knife and axe. I want to represent blood that has soiled the blades after a very recent use. Blood that has accumulated in certain areas of tension while being pulled under the action of the wearer's motion as he trots forward in search of his next kill. For the axe, the approach is fairly standard, since it's a classic chopping blow, with splashes and then a drip. But with the knife, I want to represent a thrusting blow, with a blade that has penetrated the flesh right up to the hilt. The withdrawal movement of the blade will therefore remove a large volume of blood off the blade, and the rest will start to flow from the puddles along the low tension surfaces to collect in areas of resistance. Please give the video a like if you enjoyed. I will post the rest of the series as a weekly episode for the next 2 weeks, so be sure to subscribe. If you want to see more from me, also consider supporting me on Patreon. By becoming a patron to the channel, you will allow me to spend more time on it, thus sharing more of my work on YouTube more often. If that's the path you choose, my gratitude will be immense. I'm Flo from Chronicles of Tiny Battles. See you next time.